In 2019, an American diver, Victor Vescovo, broke the record for the deepest submarine dive at 6.8 miles by traveling to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Victor and his team found several new species of deep-sea creatures. But the dive quickly became bittersweet because of a disturbing discovery: a piece of plastic. The most remote ecosystem on our blue planet couldn't escape our trash. The implications of plastic are far-reaching. We've responded with education, personal behavior change, and even attempts at cleanup. But we've been treating the symptoms instead of the disease. The plastic industry wants to increase plastic production exponentially. It's time to go further upstream and tackle the source of this problem. We must implement systematic change through new legislation. We have an opportunity to create a ripple throughout the world to help solve a major problem facing our planet. The boldest pioneers of this age are those who care enough to act, and we invite you now to act on plastic.
So I think the ocean is obviously super important for sustaining all life on this planet, right? It's likely the origin of life here on Earth, as well as it actually supports us with the oxygen that we breathe. Over half of the oxygen on Earth is coming from the ocean. So every other breath you take is coming from the ocean, little plants in the ocean. So we depend on the ocean, whether you're thinking about the ocean or not. If you're in Nebraska or wherever, you depend on the ocean and you are connected to it. Your blood is the same salt concentration as the ocean. It's truly a place of wonder for people, as well as important physically, environmentally, and economically. It's a huge part of the global economy. So the oceans are incredibly important, and their health is incredibly important.
Plastic pollution is a big problem for the ocean because it affects the health of our communities. It's making its way into our food chain, we now know. It's also endangering the health of wildlife, and it's just trashing our environment, making it unsafe for future generations.
You've probably seen the news about whales washing up with plastic stuck in their gut, pounds and pounds of plastic, and they're starving to death. I mean, that is just truly unacceptable. We're smarter than that. We can do better than this.
As a surfer, a scuba diver, as someone in the water, you see litter on the beaches and you try to clean it up as best as you can, and you don't think that it's that bad. You look out, even when we look out right now, it's beautiful, it's giant. But in terms of what I've seen with plastics, it honestly depends where you are. And so because the ocean's currents are constantly moving, some beaches are pristine and some beaches are completely trashed.
It's one thing to see a cute little fluffy baby bird with a belly full of plastic, or even the fish that are ingesting plastic, and even the plankton that have plastic in them, these microfibers of plastic. But what really hits home is when it affects us, and it is affecting us, and we are ingesting this stuff, and it is disrupting our endocrine system. And that's the freaky part of all of this, is are they the indicator species of what's going to happen to us?
Microplastics are being found all over the place. It's in the water we drink, it's in the air we breathe. Okay, we're eating, estimated, about a credit card of plastic, and wait, every week. We're not eating intentionally a piece of plastic that looks like food. It's in our food. It's in our water. We're just not seeing it.
When plastic gets into the ocean, it doesn't biodegrade, but it photodegrades with light and it shreds with the pressures of the ocean. So the majority of plastic in the ocean is smaller than a grain of rice. It gets down to the microscopic level. There is no way to clean 3/4 of the earth of these microplastics without straining the ocean, 3/4 of the world, and you'd be straining the life of the ocean too. We're talking about microplastics that are in the same size and numbers as plankton. So it's really a fallacy to talk about ocean cleanup. Yes, there are some big pieces that we can pick up, but you're never going to get to the true problem because plastic is in every strata of the ocean. It is from the surface to the deepest points of the ocean. In the Marianas Trench, there have been plastic bags and microfibers found. That's the deepest part of the ocean. Nobody is going to go down and vacuum the Marianas Trench.
The more I've gotten a chance to learn about the plastics pollution crisis globally, it is just so distressing. The amount of our junk that ends up in beaches in Bali and in the Philippines, the crisis is reaching a breaking point, and I worry about our ability to heal our ocean on the long term. So there's a human health aspect to this. There's a global kind of planet health aspect to this. There's also an issue that impacts taxpayers. I mean, our local governments here in the state of California are spending about $500 million every year on litter cleanup alone. And then when we start to talk about waste management, the costs are tremendous. It used to be that other countries were paying us to take our plastic pollution for recycling purposes, but that's no longer the case. We're now having to pay others to take our pollution. So there's a huge hit to taxpayers that I think that a lot of people don't fully understand as well. Money that could be going to programs for seniors and transportation and schools and parks and all sorts of other public services.
The plastic industry has its own plan. They want to increase production of plastic 40%. They actually want to build massive facilities that'll just drive the costs lower, continue to keep other alternatives non-competitive, and will keep this cycle of pollution going for even longer. So if we allow that production to happen, if we don't change our system dramatically right now, unfortunately, plastic pollution is something we're going to be living with our entire lives, and it's only going to continue to pile up. It's only going to continue to get worse. There's going to be nowhere to go that plastic isn't pervasive.
So this is our circular economy bill where we're seeking to reduce our waste by 75% by 2030. And this basically tasks CalRecycle, which is the agency that oversees waste management, recycling, etc., to get us on a path toward dramatic reductions in our packaging and product waste, particularly in the area of plastics, but it's not exclusive to plastics. The elegant thing about it is that it's not too prescriptive. It sets very strict goals, but then it creates a system with a stakeholder process, including environmentalists, activists, local governments, waste management people, and industry and retail, all sitting together, and they're going to have these strict goals that they have to meet, but they're going to figure out a stakeholder process to get us to meeting these goals. On this issue of plastics, we know that this work is very doable. And I say this because the technology is there, right? The fact of the matter is that already so many restaurants, so many stores, so many businesses that want to do the right thing environmentally have developed the sustainable packaging and sustainable products that are far less damaging. And so those all exist, and a lot of places already have adopted them, but we just need everybody to be adopting them. We just need to give a little bit of a nudge. The problem is that virgin plastic is just so damn cheap. It's so inexpensive, and there's just not enough of incentive. There can be an environmentally sustainable product for like a cent or two more expensive, but businesses that really don't care, they don't have any incentive, don't have any mandate associated with doing the right thing, aren't going to make the right decision all the time. Some do, but not all do.
There was a time not too long ago when we didn't even have plastic. Before World War II, before it became disposable plastic was this new magical invention, and then we were marketed to use these products like Saran Wrap and the disposable convenient society.
I think the most effective and least expensive way to stop plastic pollution is by targeting the source, which would be putting the responsibility on on the manufacturers.
We need legislation to really pin producer responsibility down.
The new legislation that's being proposed at the state level in California is revolutionary.
25 years ago, it was impossible to consider the idea that people could actually afford solar roofs on their houses. But the government stepped in, they gave the market, they said, look, you gotta do better. We're asking you to do better, we're requiring you to do better. Just like we did with the automobile manufacturers when the average Angelino kid was growing up with half of the lung capacity of kids in other parts of the country because of how bad the smog was here in the 70s. Government stepped up and said, look, you gotta do better, you gotta tighten up your standards. The automobile industry kicked and screamed, oh no, this is gonna destroy transportation as we know it. But they ended up innovating. And certain innovators within the industry pushed the envelope, showed that it could be done. We can do the same here in this industry. Our economy, just the state of California, is significantly larger than Canada's entire economy. And so if we're able to do it here, we'll be able to set a standard that other major economies can replicate. At the end of the day, I would consider this effort to be a failure if we're not able to sell this model to the rest of the world. If we can actually create the economic mandate, the economic imperative for the mass production of new products that are far more environmentally sustainable, China, India, Philippines are ready to gobble up these products. And that's really what we can do here that could be a game changer for the planet. There's an aligning of the stars that allow us to do something like this. It's bold and proactive. This is a really special opportunity for California to take a global leadership role. And so this is something we could be proud of. Let's take this over the finish line. Let's get this thing passed.
Sometimes when you're watching a video like this, you start to feel guilt, or you start to feel like, oh, this is my fault, or oh, I'm currently sipping on a plastic straw. Oh no. Well, I want you to think a little bit bigger than that, because this really is it's not just about you, okay? It's about something bigger. You didn't create this at the scale that it is, but we need people to move beyond just their individual choices and their individual actions to a much bigger policy level.
If this is striking a chord with you, if this is something that resonates with you, if you think we need to do something about this, please get involved. If you are a resident of the state of California, find out who your assembly member, who your senator is, call their office, show up at a town hall meeting, write them a letter, send them an email, engage with them, make sure that they or their staff know that you and people like you in their district care about this issue. Legislators need to know that the members of the public are paying attention. Members of the public actually care where they stand. I think a lot of my colleagues sometimes, I hate to say this, but they kind of count on people not paying attention all the time. There's certain really high-profile bills that they know everybody's paying attention to. We need to make sure this gets into that category, a high-profile bill that people are paying attention to, that there's going to be a certain degree of accountability. Now, if you don't live in the state of California, work with us. Let's get this thing across the finish line here in California, and then let's work with all of the state governments around the country to get similar bills passed.
So you can go to colossal.org. We have a petition to support this legislation on there, and then we'll give you directions on how to contact your representative if you're a California resident. And you can fill that out. It'll be sent to state representatives, state senators, as well as the governor. But we'd love you to take it a step further and actually go out and contact them yourself. Get more involved than just a petition, and share the video, spread the message, spread the word about this, because this video won't do anything unless people watch it. Out of any of the ocean issues I've worked on, this one seems to have a lot of passion behind it. People care. They really care. They ask me all the time, what's going on with plastics? There's a bunch of plastics out in the ocean. Why? What do we do? This is something you can do. So really, it's important and imperative that you get engaged on this issue at this very moment. Right now, click this link right now to get involved, sign the petition, call your representative, do it today, right now, and then do other stuff. Do whatever you're gonna do after this, I don't care. Whatever it is after this, it's good. Do this first, then something else.
I fight for our oceans because I'm amazingly fascinated by marine life. All the weird and wonderful animals creeping around out there in our ocean, even those that are not yet discovered. With new and innovative underwater technologies, we are entering a golden age for ocean exploration. But I have become sick with sadness that these animals are being harmed by plastic pollution from products that we use just one time and throw away. There must be a better solution.